all the different neighborhoods, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with community violence, we're dealing with police brutality, failing schools, lack of affordable homes. So we began to use hip hop as a way to bring these different communities together in peaceful situations. Peace, everybody. So I'm Pittsburgh's own, but I was actually born in Chicago, Illinois, on the south side of Chicago, yes. Me and my mom, south side in the house, Chicago in the house. But unfortunately at a very young age, my father made the decision to leave the household. And it really put my mom in this kind of valley of decision of what she was gonna do. So my mother was already raising us. She decided not just to go back to work, but she also enrolled in Roosevelt University, where she went on to become valedictorian of her class. Yeah, give it up, yeah. But unfortunately, my father leaving had an economic impact on our household, and we were in kind of one part of the South Side that was decent, and we ended up having to move to a worser part. I know that's not a word, but y'all know what I mean. And so this was around the same time where I began to want to discover the world that was outside of my door. And unfortunately at that time, what was outside of my door in that neighborhood was violence and gangs. But what I didn't know was my mother was kind of plotting to get us out of this situation. So my mother ended up getting a job with Westinghouse Electric Corporation here in Pittsburgh as a nuclear engineer. And what was interesting about that was she didn't have an engineering degree, so I still don't know how she did. When they say black girl magic, that's real, right? So she ended up moving us from the south side of Chicago to Pittsburgh, actually to Monroeville, Pennsylvania. You can see how happy I was to leave my south side home. And this was really my first introduction to in-your-face racism, I was raised socially conscious. My given name is Jasiri X, but my experience in the south side of Chicago was really 100% black. And I remember the first time we went to Monroeville Mall and was called niggas, the first time. And then, I go to Gateway High School and I'm having these similar experiences and I'm dealing with racism. And so my first response was you gonna come at me like that, we gonna get these hands, we gonna fight. And so I remember when the school called my mother and told her I was suspended for fighting, and she made it very clear that would be the last time I would have anything to do with any type of suspension in our household. And this is where I kind of had to make a decision, but this is where I found my purpose, because this is how I got into activism, finding out how to deal with this kind of hostile environment that I found myself in. So at Gateway High School, we started a club for students of color called Our Cultures. We petitioned the school to teach a Black history class, and I was off, right? How I found my passion in hip-hop was a little bit simpler. My best friend at the time, Eldridge, he got some turntables for Christmas, and he said, I'm gonna be the DJ and you're gonna be the rapper. And I wrote a rap, and it was terrible. But it would be, if I tossed you a trumpet and said, play the trumpet, you're gonna start, it's not gonna be good. But thankfully, I was nurtured, people supported me, and I started to get good as a hip-hop artist. But I wanted to do, because of the experience that I had, I wanted to combine my passion and my purpose. I wanted to do hip-hop that was socially conscious. So I was just told over and over again, nobody wants to hear socially conscious music. You're not going to blow up like that. You're not going to sign a big record deal like that. So it was well, how do I find a way to combine my passion and my purpose? So in 2006, I got with a group of men, and we started an organization here in Pittsburgh called One Hood. And the idea around One Hood was that, one of the gentlemen, if you see the guy with the beard, the locked beard, his name is Paradise Gray. He said, one of the things that Pittsburgh and our communities, we suffer from hoodism. That all the different neighborhoods, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with community violence, we're dealing with police brutality, failing schools, lack of affordable homes, but we take our frustrations out on one another. And so we felt the real power into really dealing with our problems, with our unity. So we began to use hip-hop as a way to bring these different communities together in peaceful situations. Well, at the same time, a situation happened in Gina, Louisiana called the Gina 6. I don't know if you all remember this. But 6 black men in Gina, Louisiana were arrested for a fight in high school, and one of the gentlemen, Michael Bell, was given 10 years in prison. So at that time, I wanted to help, and I didn't have a lot of money, and so I said, well, you know what? I'm going to write a song. And so I wrote a song called Free the Gina 6. And I put it on the website. There was a website out at the time. I don't know if y'all remember MySpace. Remember the MySpace? Y'all have some MySpace pages? And so I put the song on my MySpace page, and somebody sent it to a radio host named Michael Bays, and the next thing I know, the song was being played all over the country. I ended up going to Gina, Louisiana. It was a rally of 60,000 people meeting the families of the Gina 6. The Gina 6, the charges ended up getting dropped through the Gina 6. Michael Bell gets out of prison, and it was this victory. And I saw how combining my passion and my purpose could lead to something powerful. But it also put me in a valley of decision because I had a job. And my job had direct deposit, so you don't even got to take your check to the bank. You just check your bank account, and it's already there. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because people say follow your dreams to the point where it becomes cliche, but most people really don't follow their dreams. Follow their love and follow their passion and their purpose. So I took a leap of faith. And I remember like the last check and thinking like, this is no check coming after this, right? I got to do this all the way. And so I was blessed in 2010 when I left my job. I put out a song called What If the Tea Party Was Black? The song went viral, and I ended up signing a record deal with a record label called Wandering Works Entertainment in Vancouver, and I was off as a hip-hop artist. But I didn't feel like it was good enough for me. I feel like conscious rappers should have the same standards as gangster rappers. If you're a gangster rapper, they want to see, like, your rap sheet. To me, if you're a conscious rapper, it's like, well, what are you doing with your consciousness and doing in the community? So in 2010, we started the One Hood Media Academy here in Pittsburgh. The Heinz Endowment and the Pew Center actually did a study of how black men are portrayed in the media here in Pittsburgh. What they found was 90% of the time when they portrayed black men in the media, the subject was crime, right? When it came to quality of life stories, it was less than 3%. And so we went to the Heinz and the Pew Center and said, hey, we want to teach young black men how not only to analyze media, but we want to give them the tools so they can tell their own story, and thus we started the One Hood Media Academy. This is actually last year was One Hood's 10-year anniversary. Yes. And we realized right away that it couldn't just be black men because, we weren't that successful, that we had to open it up to black women as well. So we have a black woman CEO now, the incredible Celeste Smith. And teaching artists. We become this artist collective. If you were here in the morning, you might have saw Idasa and Jaquaya do their thing. If you was here in the morning, give it up for them. And so it's like, man, I'm actually being able to live my passion and my purpose, right? So, my passion and my purpose led me to the front lines of Ferguson. It's not always something that's going to be all great and lovely and flowers, right? Sometimes when you live your passion and your purpose, particularly if it's activism, you might have to put yourself in danger, right? This picture was from, this is 1 year and 1 day after Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson. This was the first time that I was arrested with a group of activists led by Cornel West. But my passion and purpose has also allowed me to share space with some of the greatest leaders of our generation, as well as share stages with some of the greatest artists of our generation and of all time, and my favorites. Yeah, that's Stevie Wonder right there. Y'all see? In January, I was blessed to share a few words at the Women's March on Washington in front of millions of people. So if you could just imagine the energy to go out there and stand in front of millions of people, all united for a common cause and purpose. It was very powerful. And I was able to share the stage with two incredible poets, Aja Monet and my son. Unfortunately, though, this year in January, my mom passed away. And the day she passed away, I was living my purpose and my passion. I was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, performing at a rally where everybody came together to save our health care. We're still trying to save our health care right now. And what was interesting about this rally was that they thought 1,000 people were going to show up, and 10,000 people filled the streets of Philadelphia. Despite that, despite my mom passing away, before she passed, she was actually able to see me get an honorary doctorate degree from the Chicago Theological Seminary, coming full circle, right? And what I love most about my honorary degree, it says Jasiri X. Like, I didn't have to dilute my truth. I didn't have to be something other than who I was. I didn't have to shrink in the face of oppression, but I could be my full and complete self, right? So the last thing I would like to leave you with is 3 things. I say, find your passion, live your purpose, love your people. I'm Jasiri X, y'all. One hood. All the different neighborhoods, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with community violence, we're dealing with police brutality, failing schools, lack of affordable homes. So we began to use hip-hop as a way to bring these different communities together in peaceful situations.